I remember a few years ago, I was standing in line at a coffee shop, just trying to get my morning coffee. The barista, a young woman who clearly had a long day already, barely glanced at me as I stepped up to the counter. As I gave my order, she sighed, rolled her eyes, and muttered under her breath, "Just another customer who doesn't know what they want." I felt the sting of those words. My first instinct was to say something, to defend myself, maybe even ask for the manager, but I didn't. Instead, I took a deep breath, smiled, and said, "Thank you." I grabbed my coffee and walked out, feeling a strange sense of peace. Now you might be wondering why I didn't respond. Why didn't I confront her? Why didn't I put her in her place? Believe me, I could have. But over the years, I've learned something important. There's incredible power in silence. Not the silence of avoidance, but the silence that comes from confidence, control, and strength. The truth is, we live in a world that values noise. Everyone wants to have the last word. Everyone wants to be heard, to prove their point, to defend their ego. But what if I told you that real strength often comes from the moments when we choose not to react? I've had countless moments like the one in the coffee shop, and I know you've had them too. Moments where someone disrespects you, underestimates you, or throws an unnecessary insult your way, and everything inside you screams, "Fight back." The adrenaline kicks in, and you feel that burning desire to show them who's in charge. But here's what I've come to realize. When we react to negativity with more negativity, we're giving away our power. I want to tell you about a man I met years ago, a mentor of mine. His name was Mr. Davis, and he was the calmest, most composed person I've ever known. Now, Mr. Davis worked in a high-stress corporate environment where cutthroat competition was the norm. People in that office fought for every inch of success. They'd interrupt each other in meetings, argue over ideas, and publicly criticize one another just to get ahead. But Mr. Davis, he never raised his voice. He never engaged in petty arguments. He never let someone else's negativity drag him down. I remember watching him in meetings where people would openly challenge his ideas, sometimes disrespectfully so. While others would retaliate, Mr. Davis would pause, smile, and respond with nothing but a nod. He would stay silent, let the dust settle, and then continue with his work. And do you know what happened? Over time, people started to listen to Mr. Davis more. Not because he was loud, but because he wasn't. His silence, his refusal to engage in the noise made people notice him in a different way. They realized that he didn't need to prove anything because his work spoke louder than any words ever could. What Mr. Davis taught me was that silence is a form of power. It's not about being passive or weak. It's about knowing when to speak and when to stay quiet. Silence is about holding on to your inner strength, even when the world around you is trying to pull you into its chaos. Think about it. When someone disrespects you, what are they looking for? They're looking for a reaction. They want you to lose your cool. They want to drag you into their storm. And when you do, when you snap back or engage in their negativity, you've given them exactly what they wanted. You've let them control you. But when you choose to stay silent, you're doing something they didn't expect. You're taking the higher ground. You're showing that their words, their actions, don't have the power to shake you. And that, my friends, is real strength. I know what some of you might be thinking, but Jim, it's not fair. Why should I have to be the one who stays silent? Why can't I give them a piece of my mind? And you're right, it's not fair. But here's the thing. When has life ever been fair? The question isn't about fairness. It's about wisdom. When you react out of anger or frustration, you're not just responding to the person in front of you. You're letting their negativity seep into your own mind and heart. You're letting their bad behavior dictate how you act. And in doing so, you're giving away your peace. Is that fair to you? One of the greatest lessons I've learned is that confidence and silence go hand in hand. Truly confident people don't need to be the loudest in the room. They don't need to win every argument or have the final say in every debate. They know their worth, they know their abilities, and they understand that their silence can often speak louder than any words ever could. I once knew a woman named Sarah, a leader in her field who had a reputation for being calm under pressure. Her co-workers admired her, but there was one person in her office, let's call him Joe, who seemed to have it out for her. Joe would challenge her in every meeting, throw subtle insults her way, and try to undermine her at every turn. But Sarah, she never took the bait. She never lashed out or engaged in Joe's negativity. In fact, she would often respond to his attacks with a simple, "Thank you for your input," and then move on. At first, Joe thought she was weak, an easy target. But over time, something happened. Joe realized that Sarah's silence wasn't weakness, it was strength. Her refusal to engage in petty games forced him to confront his own behavior. Eventually, the entire office began to see Joe for what he was, an insecure man trying to tear someone else down to feel better about himself. And Sarah? Her silence earned her more respect than any argument ever could. Here's the real truth about silence. It doesn't just protect your peace. It also has the power to motivate and inspire those around you. When you choose to stay quiet in the face of negativity, people notice. They see your restraint, your self-control, and it makes them wonder, how are they so calm? How are they so strong? You see, when you rise above the noise, you set an example. You show others that there's another way to handle life's challenges. You demonstrate that success and confidence don't come from shouting the loudest or fighting every battle. They come from knowing when to speak and when to be silent. Let me tell you about a time when I witnessed this firsthand. I was speaking at an event, and during the Q&A session, a man in the audience stood up and began to criticize everything I had said. He was angry, upset, and looking for a fight. The crowd grew tense, waiting for my response. I had two choices. I could engage in a back-and-forth argument, defend my position, and try to prove him wrong, or I could take a deep breath and choose silence. I chose the latter. I thanked him for his comments, gave a brief, calm response, and moved on to the next question. What happened next surprised me. After the event, several people came up to me, not to talk about what I had said, but to praise how I had handled the situation. They told me that my calmness, my refusal to engage in the negativity, had left a lasting impression on them. And that's the thing, silence is powerful. It shows people that you're in control. It shows people that you don't need to defend your value because you already know it. Silence doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you're avoiding conflict or afraid to stand up for yourself. Silence is about choosing what deserves your energy and attention. It's about knowing when to speak and when to let your actions do the talking. You see, true strength isn't about reacting to every slight or insult. True strength is about being so secure in who you are that you don't need to prove it to anyone. It's about knowing your worth and refusing to let someone else's negativity pull you down. Think of the great leaders and role models throughout history. They weren't the loudest voices in the room. They didn't fight every battle with words. They fought with dignity, with grace, and with an unshakable inner strength that spoke louder than any argument ever could. So I challenge you today, embrace the power of silence. The next time someone disrespects you, pause, breathe, and ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Is this worth my peace? More often than not, the answer will be no. Let your silence speak for you. Let your actions show your strength. And watch as the world around you begins to change, not because you fought back, but because you chose to rise above. Remember, the real truth of being silent is that it's not about avoiding conflict or shrinking away. It's about standing tall, staying true to who you are, and showing the world that you are stronger than the noise. The more I reflect on that moment, the more I realize that it wasn't just about maintaining composure or avoiding conflict. It was about choosing how I wanted to live my life. Every single day, we are faced with situations where we can either react emotionally or respond thoughtfully. And this choice, my friends, is the key to unlocking a life of purpose and peace. You see, silence isn't just about keeping your mouth shut. It's about holding on to your power. It's about saying, I refuse to let this situation, this person, or these words control how I feel or what I do. That moment in the coffee shop wasn't the first time I was confronted with disrespect, and it certainly won't be the last. But the difference is that now I see those moments for what they truly are, opportunities. Yes, every moment of disrespect, every rude comment, every unfair judgment is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to show the world and yourself what you're really made of. You get to decide if you'll be pulled into the negativity or if you'll rise above it. You get to decide if you'll let someone's bad day become your bad day or if you'll continue to carry yourself with grace. Now, I can hear some of you thinking, why, but Jim, that's hard. It's hard to stay calm when someone is pushing your buttons or treating you unfairly. And you're right, it is hard. But anything worth achieving in life takes effort, takes practice. Staying calm, choosing silence in moments of conflict, that's a skill. And just like any skill, it can be developed over time. When you stay silent in the face of disrespect, you're not letting them win. In fact, you're taking the higher ground. You're controlling what you can control, yourself. And that, my friends, is the essence of true power. Think about the people you admire the most, the leaders, the mentors, the role models in your life. Chances are they don't lose their cool at every provocation. They don't react impulsively to every slight. Instead, they exude a calm, quiet confidence that draws others in. That kind of presence, that magnetic presence, comes from mastering your own emotions. It comes from knowing that you don't need to win every argument or respond to every insult to prove your worth. Let me share another story with you. A close friend of mine, a business owner, faced a situation that would have sent most people into a tailspin. One of his biggest clients, a deal that represented a significant portion of his income, decided to cancel their contract unexpectedly. No warning, no explanation, just gone. Now my friend could have responded with anger, could have burned that bridge in a matter of minutes. And let's be honest, he had every reason to be upset, but instead, he took a different approach. He chose silence. He took a deep breath, thanked the client for their previous business, and wished them well. A few months later, something incredible happened. That same client came back. They apologized, explained that they had made a mistake in canceling the contract, and offered to renew their business, this time with even more favorable terms for my friend. Had he reacted with anger or frustration, that door would have been closed forever. But because he chose to stay calm, to take a step back and let things unfold, he ultimately came out ahead. This, my friends, is the power of silence. It allows you to stay open to possibilities. It allows you to keep doors open that anger and impulse would slam shut. And let's talk about relationships for a moment, because this principle applies not only in business or in moments of public conflict, but also in our personal lives. How many times have you found yourself in an argument with a loved one, where things are said in the heat of the moment that you later regret, words that you can't take back, no matter how much you wish you could? I've learned over the years that silence in those moments of tension can be the best gift you can give to both yourself and the other person. When tempers are high and emotions are swirling, sometimes the best thing you can do is step back, stay quiet, and let things cool down. Silence doesn't mean you're avoiding the issue. It doesn't mean you're not going to address what needs to be addressed. But it means you're giving yourself the space to respond thoughtfully rather than react emotionally. The next time you find yourself in a heated conversation, try this. Pause. Take a deep breath. Let the other person say what they need to say. And then, instead of reacting immediately, take a moment. Choose your words carefully. You'll find that the conversation will shift. The tension will start to ease. And instead of escalating into a full-blown argument, you might just find that you both walk away feeling heard and respected. Now, I'm not saying silence is always easy. In fact, sometimes it's one of the hardest things you can do. It takes strength. It takes self-control. But with practice, it becomes a powerful tool in your life. And here's the thing. Silence isn't just about avoiding conflict. It's about creating space for clarity, for reflection, for growth. When you're constantly caught up in the noise of everyday life, responding to every comment, reacting to every situation, you leave no room for stillness. And it's in that stillness where you find your true strength. I like to think of silence as a reset button. When the world is throwing chaos your way, when you feel overwhelmed or attacked, silence allows you to step back and center yourself. It gives you the space to ask yourself, what really matters here? How do I want to respond? What kind of person do I want to be in this situation? That's the real truth of being silent. It's not about letting the world walk all over you. It's about choosing how you want to show up in the world. And here's something else that silence does. It gives you the opportunity to listen, not just to others, but to yourself. So often we're so busy talking, explaining, justifying, that we forget to listen. But when you choose silence, you open yourself up to truly hearing what's being said, both by others and by your own inner voice. In moments of silence, you can tune into your intuition. You can hear that quiet voice inside you that knows the right path, even when everything around you feels chaotic. That voice that whispers, keep going, or it's time to change direction, or stay true to who you are. And when you learn to listen to that voice, when you learn to trust it, you become unstoppable, because that voice is the voice of your inner wisdom, your true self. And that, my friends, is where real power lies. Not in shouting over the noise, but in tuning into your own truth. So I challenge you, the next time you feel the urge to react, to respond, to defend yourself, pause. Choose silence. Choose stillness. And in that silence, find your strength. Because in a world full of noise, it's the quiet ones who often hold the most power. In a world full of chaos, it's those who can remain calm who make the biggest impact. And in a world where everyone is trying to prove themselves, it's those who know they don't need to prove anything who ultimately rise to the top. The truth is, success, peace, and power are all attracted to those who know when to speak and when to stay silent. And when you master the art of silence, you'll find that you're not only in control of your words, but in control of your life.